Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hire My VA Team and Business Building podcast, where we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank, which the bank is your bank. And I'm Dave Braun, and as normal course of things here, I'm here with Larry Broughton, my fantastic friend and mentor. Larry, we're traveling life together, especially on Wednesday nights. It's awesome.
Yes.
We're just having a blast with our little mini group, aren't we? Where we love each other, we help
Yep.
each other, support each other, and I'm so grateful for you and for those guys.
Yeah. Thanks, handsome Dave. I would encourage everyone should have some small group that you can, even if it's one person,
That's right.
that you can be on life's journey with, where you can share life's ups and downs. And this person's going to hold anything that you say to them confidentially, and they're not going to be blabbing it around.
We need to hold it in strictest confidence.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. So thanks, Dave. Glad to be on this. And, I learn from you every day as well. So we happen to be recording this podcast on a Wednesday. So that's why David mentioned when are we recording this?
It's a Tuesday, but
it's a Tuesday. Oh, tomorrow's Wednesday. We were talking about it. Never mind. Scratch everything that I just said.
Close enough.
I remind a lot of our coaching clients this, and half jokingly sometimes, in being totally serious. Others, everything I say may be wrong, and that was wrong.
All right. Well, podcast is done. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us.
Yes. All right. What's our topic today, David?
All right. Here's a great question. You see it a lot, and we've had it and we've talked about it, with our coaching clients. I've talked about it in masterminds. And so really this question is, what is the imposter syndrome and how do I defeat it? Right. So it's probably important for us to define it first, and then we can talk about how can we defeat it.
Yeah. All right. What's the definition?
So I would say the definition is, and the reason I came up with this is because I feel it, obviously, the imposter syndrome. Most of you probably do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's basically having that feeling, or, you're thinking in your mind, oh my gosh, if only people knew about me, what I know about me, they would blank. They would fire me. They would divorce me. They would not have me as a friend. They would never choose me to work on they would never choose our product or service, whatever that is. Like if people only knew the real me or what was behind me, or if they only knew the fact that I'm just not as smart as somebody else, then they would choose somebody else, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that some people are laughing at this. Other people are like, oh yeah, I get it. Well, let me say this. This is real.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who's ever tried anything new, anyone who's a high achiever, any leader, any entrepreneur had some level of this syndrome or phenomenon, this imposter syndrome. Like I don't measure up. I'm just not good enough. I'm really not who I'm portraying to be. Now, there is some, I don't know if it's sociopathic problems that come with it. I don't know if that's the right word, but there are some people who go to the extreme on this, and they really are living fraudulent lives. And that's not what we're talking about here.
That's right.
We're talking about people who just feel like, oh, if only they knew, like I'm kind of faking it till I make it.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
A little bit. Well, I would really encourage folks, and I know this is where some people are going to laugh, but if it really is debilitating, and it can be for some people, this is where excessive nervousness comes in sometimes. If this happens, I think talk to a therapist. And I'm not kidding. Yeah. Talk to a therapist, because I think that they're going to help you realize, put it in perspective. And just by taking that first step, which is always confidential, by the way, a therapist is never going to go blab what you say to the world. And for some people, it's the only person that they can ever go talk to. They can help you develop tools to get unstuck from this.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things for me being an engineer, trying to think, logically through stuff as much as I can. I mean, I always can, no matter what I'm doing or whatever aspect of my personality or whatever, I can always find somebody who I think is better than me at that one particular thing. You can
Of
always, so
course.
you can always do that. So and that can be where this imposter syndrome is coming from. It's like, well, they shouldn't use me for my product or service because I know that person over there that's, actually would do a better job for them.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. There are very, very, and I mean very few cases where someone is the absolute best in any arena. There's
Yes,
very few GOATs, greatest of all time engineers.
that's
Might be
right.
that greatest of all time, but the question is, does your client have access to them? Does your client even know them?
That's right.
Right. And we got to remember this also. There's the no, we used to say like, but love and trust factor. Right.
Yes.
So just because someone is great at a particular
Yeah,
task, they might be a jerk. They might not be trustworthy.
exactly.
Maybe the client can't afford them. Right now, there's a lot of
Right.
reasons why not them and why you.
Yeah.
There have been times when people have given me a chance just because they thought I see potential in you. Yeah, I could go hire somebody else, but I want you.
Yeah. I remember hearing, man, it was on a podcast I listened to. I wish I could give attribution, but I can't remember who said it. But they said it in relationship to, love songs. It's like, does the world really need, say you're a musician, does the world
True.
really need any more love songs,
I
right?
think I've heard this.
Right.
Yes,
I think
keep
I've told you
going.
this.
Yes.
There's so many love songs out there. I mean, can you really do a love song better than Elvis Presley did? Hold me tender, all that stuff, right? So, does the world really need any more love songs? Well, in a way, no. But what the world needs is a love song written by you,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Because you are going to write it a certain way that's going to resonate with a whole different group of people in a new way.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. And, on top of that, and talking to a therapist, like having that kind of realization, Dave, it's like just talk to someone
Yeah.
about it. Because you're going to find, hey, if you go to a fellow entrepreneur or fellow high achiever and say, hey, confidentially, this is how I'm feeling, very likely you're going to say, been there, me too. And just
Yeah.
that takes the power out of it. It's like shining the light in the dark corner of a dirty restaurant. The cockroaches just spread. you know, that's what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
So I love that point, though, Dave. And
And
yeah,
and I think it's also, I mean, that's one extreme where it's like, oh, there's always somebody better than me at this. But
yeah,
then on the other extreme is like, I'm I'm the best there is ever, and you have no experience at it, right?
yeah.
The thing that comes to mind in my mind is you watched American Idol, and they always show people who are just absolutely freaking horrible, but
Mhm.
they think that they should win, the competition. Yet they can't hold a tune, all that kind of stuff. So they've deceived themselves. One of the things that
Yes,
you say is reality is your friend, right?
that's where I'm going to lead with that. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that balance.
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't get too concerned about it. Having, Dave and I, you and I we're young at heart, but we're advanced in years and experience, right? We're considered the wise sages in the guru community nowadays. We've seen lots of ups and downs. We've seen a lot of people who've been very successful. We've seen people who have actually crashed and burned because they've been fraudulent
Yes.
in their claims and that kind of thing. And remember this, true imposters don't have this feeling.
Yeah.
All right. You have this feeling because you want to be better than where you truly are. These
Mm-hmm.
people who are delusional, like you're saying, that are on American Idol, they don't feel like they're an imposter. They feel like they have truly arrived.
Yeah.
And the whole world needs to know about it.
That's right.
Right. So don't sweat that so much. Okay. In some ways, having the imposter syndrome is a good thing. For me, it's like, have you ever seen, like, if you're into combat sports, you've seen a really good fighter, or you like baseball and you see like amazing plays. You'll go back and watch videos of that years later because it's just so darn good, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of like what this is. You can admit, yeah, that was greatness as it was happening, right? So by recognizing that there are other people that are great, it gives you something to inspire to. You feel like, hey, I'm not as good is that, that mixed martial artist. I play baseball, but not it's good, is that second base person, whatever it is. But it gives you something to aspire to.
Oh, that's right.
If you're 21 years old and you think that you are the best life coach that has ever walked the planet,
Yeah.
that's a little delusional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well,
What else we got?
I think it's probably time to go into some ways to defeat it, right? We've kind of defined it, where it's appropriate and where it's not. Now it's time to go into ways to combat it, to defeat it, to take care of it, or at least put it in its proper place in your life so that you can use it to help you.
I think some of these things we've said so far are like talking to a therapist and talking to others. That is helping people
You're right.
to defeat it, and recognizing that real imposters don't have imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's keep going though.
Okay.
What else? Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things is, especially as entrepreneurs, we have to realize that, whenever we're striving, whenever we're achieving, trying to do more and more and get better and better, this imposter syndrome is just never going to totally go away, because we're always going to be pushing ourselves outside of the comfort zone to achieve more, to, all of a sudden, we're going to start a podcast. We got to speak in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So that imposter syndrome really is never going to go away. And we just almost have to embrace it and be comfortable with it. And I think it goes back to a little bit like what you said, Larry, is to realize that when it's here and attacking you, when you realize it in an appropriate way, it means you need to move forward and step into it. And that the going through that imposter syndrome feeling is going to be helping you get better.
Yeah. And taking action, as you said, I think is really important. So what does that mean? Right. Yeah. I think that while you were saying that, what I don't want people to get confused about with what I had said earlier about, hey, when you're looking at like the rock star mixed martial artist or the, world's best baseball player, comparing them and saying, oh, I'm never going to measure up. There is that risk too. I don't want you to do that. We have to stop comparing ourselves to other people. Mm-hmm. That is where a little bit of the imposter syndrome comes in, and there's lots of cliches about this. Don't judge your first chapter by the ending of, how's it go? How does that saying go?
There's a couple of them. Don't judge your first chapter by somebody's end of the book, or don't judge. Don't look at some of these outsides and compare them to your insides.
Yeah, that's a good one in the what do you call it, in the recovery community. Yeah, don't judge your insides by everyone else's outsides, because you don't really know what's going on. There's a great mantra out there about joy, right? Two things steal your joy, right? Living in the past and comparing yourself to others.
Oh yeah, comparing.
Yeah. So we got to stop comparing ourselves to other people. Now use them as a standard. Like, I want to attain that level of greatness or better, but they may be great in that area, but they may suck in every other area of their life, which is why we do the whole health spider graph, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah. And use it as a way to fuel you, not to defuel you. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So we just got to realize it's never going to go away. It's going to be part of us. Just like if we're trying to do more and more in our business or in our life, or if we're training physically to run a marathon, it's going to hurt, and it's going to, and it's just the way it is. When you want to achieve something great and stand out, it's going to be pain involved.
Yeah. Well, you and I are working on this program right now for C4. And one of the first C, this is kind of what it reminds me of, is competence, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that does help. Use this stuff that we're talking about to fuel the desire to expand and improve on your competence.
Yes.
Okay. That will help you with your imposter syndrome, right? Because if you just sit around and just obsess on, if they really knew, well, how about shifting that energy and putting that into actually getting better in the area where you feel like you don't measure up?
Yeah. Yeah. The more competent you are at a particular product or service or in an area in your life, the less that this imposter syndrome is gonna get you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can build your competence, right? One way is to actually get a mentor to help you.
Mhm.
Another
Yep.
is just do, practice, 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 be, visualize it, right? Um, if you do offer a product or a service that you're working on, develop it so that you can just start offering it. Get people to start buying this from you. That boosts your confidence as well, but it helps you hone your competence when you ask for feedback and you get better at it. And there's something about turning your knowledge into a product or a service that helps you grow. I remember hearing this in the military, but also in the medical community, that when you are learning something new, you're shown 3 times,
Oh yeah.
you do it 3 times, and then you teach it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this.
Yeah.
In the medical arena, all right, you watch an open heart surgery 3 times, and then you do it.
Yeah.
It's that fast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
that fast. That's how you're going to build your competence. You learn something, you get out on the playing field, and you just do it.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I watch Charlie and I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, the reruns and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what they do. They follow these interns going through the program and they are shown what to do. Then they do it alongside the mentor who's there to guide them. But then eventually they end up having to teach others.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different mindset each particular
Yeah.
road, each particular step, each
Yeah.
particular step.
Yeah.
So yeah, get as competent as possible. One of the other things too is it always helps you as you are becoming competent, as you are serving others, you are going to be successful at it. And it really helps to get testimonials or thank you notes or all that kind of stuff from folks. And that will help, give you proof that what you say you do it's good and you are good.
Yeah. And on top of that, Dave, too many people get wrapped around the axle on that one. They're concerned. They feel like they're embarrassed. Or it's like they're showing off or something. But when you realize that the strengths that you have are not the same strengths that other people have, there's value in that.
Right.
So doing some assessments like the Strength Finders assessments or the Colby Index or even Myers-Briggs or DISC, you realize that we're all built differently. And that doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong. It just means it's who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so when you can work on your strengths, one of the reasons why you might be feeling incompetent, not in a bad way, but less than competent, is you're not doing things that you really are good at.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to remember those things, right? And you've seen me do this, Dave, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll go do a keynote for 1,000 people and they'll survey the 1,000 people, or 1 or 2 people might say, he spoke too long about himself.
Yeah.
What do? I beat myself up for days after that. I could have 900 people say, oh, that was awesome, life-changing, whatever, right? But we tend to hang on to the negative stuff, right? And I want to just give a quick story about the testimonials that you're talking about. For years, I've lived a blessed life for sure. And I've been really good at building good teams around me. And so I've had some reasonable success in business, Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year, Passkeys, National Business Leader of Integrity Award, Visionary of the Year, Entrepreneur Magazine's 67th fastest growing company in the US, all kinds of stuff, lots of articles, and all that stuff used to get chucked into the closet, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to be showing this stuff. It's like I'm being too braggadocious. I'm too high on myself. And so we moved to our new office there in Anaheim, Dave, and the same spiritual mentor that I was talking about earlier, telling you about, said, why don't you have anything like that around your office? And I told him this. But I just got to telling you, it's braggadocious. Man, I don't want to do that. Who cares about that? And he said, well, for starters, your team members want to feel like they're on a winning team, right? This is why when you walk into a university or to a high school, they display their trophies.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, it's right when you walk in, isn't it?
To show, yes, you have arrived. We are winners that are here. Number 2, clients are going to want to see that. It reinforces that you know what you're doing. And number three, he said, there's going to be times when you are not going to remember. You're going to be so in the weeds, so in the dark about what the future looks like that you can walk up to this, what I used to call the I love me wall, where we
Yeah.
finally did put all of our trophies and awards and all that kind of stuff. And he said, you can look at that and say, at one point in time, I had a moment of brilliance. Somebody recognized me at some point, and I need to recognize that someone else saw greatness in me. So I think that's really important. That did help me overcome the imposter syndrome when I started putting that stuff out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So your team members want to know that they're on a winning team. Your clients want to know that they're working with a winner. So there's a lot of benefits to that, and not like pushing it in their face all the time, but just subtly having it so that you can remind yourself.
Yeah, I think there's some good illustrations. I mean, one of them is you think about, like you said, the high school with the trophies, but then I was thinking, well, what happens when a professional team wins a championship? In the arena or wherever, they have a big ceremony where they get the rings and then they unfurl the championship banner and they hang them up in the rafters and all that stuff. They don't hide them.
It
That's
builds
part of
esprit
it.
de corps.
Yeah, it's awesome. For those of you on YouTube watching this, you see these things right behind me,
Yes,
right?
he's brilliant.
Those are my patents, right?
Yes,
I got 6
right.
patents. Well, I don't have them up there to brag. I have them to remind myself that, I'm pretty smart and I did some pretty cool stuff.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And it reminds me. And so what I use it for a lot of times, it'll remind me that, oh my gosh, we messed up with a client or there's this big problem. And it reminds me that, no, wait a second, we can solve this stuff. We can rebound. And that's what it's for. It's not to brag. It's to inspire you to keep going on.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I've got here, if you can see it on YouTube,
that's
is
really good.
My mental toolbox. That's why I disappeared for a sec. And I just have a few things that I printed out over the years that people have wrote to me that I, every now and then, if I feel like it, I'll go through it. Even just
by the way, those are like thank you cards, emails. You're great. Thank you for helping me. Those types of things. Yes.
Yeah, you get a review on Google My Business or something. There's no reason why you can't print it out. Start stacking them up, and it starts feeling pretty good.
That's right. That's good.
Oh, you're getting old when you bend down and you start groaning. All right, so that's a few ways. Do I have anything else in my notes? Yeah, there's some notes. I remember them. One of my mentors, it was Shane Sams, talking about, how to do this. One of the things that he talked about was, you don't need credentials if you have clients. That really made a lot of sense. But, and that was in terms of getting an MBA or a PhD or something like that. But one of the things that he talked about, Larry, and is, to stop looking at your competition. And I get what he's saying on that, and there's a lot of truth to that. But when you say stop looking at your competition, I think it's like stop looking at your competition every day, but every now and then you got to lift your head up and see what your competition is doing.
Absolutely.
So you know that you are going to be beating them and providing the best service you can for your client, right? So you still have to look at your competition in the right way, not to use it to beat yourself up, but to inspire you, right?
Well, to inspire you, another reason to look at your competition is they may have insights on the future that you don't. And so they may be shifting market share. They may be tweaking their products, whatever it is. There's a lot of good reasons to look at your competition, but it's through a healthy lens. I think I get what he's saying. It's like, oh, they're so big and I'm never going to be who they are and that kind of thing. But if you can detach emotionally and just look at them like you're looking through a microscope as something that's totally detached from you are,
right?
That might be a better way to look at it.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff there.
Have we hit everything we ought to be hitting on imposter syndrome? I think that the truth is it's real. Most folks have it. Real imposters don't have it. So don't worry about it. Use it to fuel who you are.
Yes.
Right. Seek help. Be willing to talk about it. Recognize the victories that you've had in the past. There are a lot of folks who have seen greatness in you before. Don't hide from it. You know, for some reason we've confused be humble with that.
Yeah.
Being humble doesn't mean that you don't recognize that there's greatness
Yeah.
in you, right?
Yeah. And,
And
you know, one aspect we didn't touch on, but I think it's related to this is when you do fail, because you will fail,
for sure.
don't use it to say, oh, you know, like the Eeyore, right? That you talk about, woe is me, I can't do this, I'm never going to do it again. No, use the failure to learn from and, you know, to do better next time.
That's right. That's good.
Right. There's
Good.
a whole nother episode we could do on how to use failure to fuel you. How about that?
That's good. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Well,
Good.
let's wrap this one up. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And remember, building a team is the way to reclaim your freedom. And we're here to help you with our course community and our white glove service, where we find a rockstar VA for you. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I've never built a team. I can't do this. Who am I to do this? I've failed in the past. You may be suffering from imposter syndrome when it comes to building a team. I'll tell you what, and I'll guarantee you that you come into our course in our community, our program, use our white glove service, we can't guarantee that you will, you know, be super, super successful, but we can guarantee you this will give you the best shot that you have, and you will become better and better at being a team leader and building a team. So given that, we want you to do 3 things. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already done so. Use your phone to subscribe. It's easy, or go on YouTube and hit the subscribe button and click on the little yellow bell or whatever color it is to get reminders. And number 2, give us a rating, and then ask a question. You watching on YouTube, ask a question, put a comment in here. Tell us a time when you have maybe suffered from imposter syndrome, or what are the big lessons that you've learned to overcome it. Put that in there. And then the third thing is go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course and community and our white glove service. So that's it for now. Go to HireMyVA.com for more information, because we want to help you guys out.
Yeah. And you know what? Years ago, I think, how many years ago was it, Dave, that we put out the Flashpoints book, Flashpoints for Achievers?
2014.
Yeah. And prior to that, I just used to send out flashpoints on a weekly basis to folks who used to follow me. And one of those that didn't go into the book was this, and it's a pretty popular one, that said, if someone else talked to us the way we often talk to ourselves, we'd slap them. Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this is with the imposter syndrome. You know, you wouldn't let other people talk down to you like we talk down to ourselves. So let's stop it. Let's start looking at the positive angles of imposter syndrome, right? You're not an imposter just by thinking that you're an imposter, right? You have had victories in the past, even no matter how small they are. Know that there are people who love you, who want to work with you. And just because there's other people that have bigger profiles, they may not be the right person for your potential client. Right. If you need any help on this kind of stuff, reach out to Dave and I. We're willing to help you out whenever, however we can, through the course, through the community, through the comment sections where you're finding this podcast. Just know that you are loved. All right.
Right.
And I really mean that. So God bless you. God keep you. And this is my favorite. God hold you. I love imagining that. God hold you. All right, my friends, go get them. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.